Hi. Okay, so first what I want to do is kind of give you some basis for understanding the method and some of the terms that I use related to the method. And the first one is going to be understanding the concept of the statements and why do we make the statements. The first thing to understand about the statements is that in our field, we talk about the electromagnetics of the body, but there's also this consciousness, and we are consciousness. And so when something happens in our life, we make a judgment, or in our minds, we're making a statement about that. And so that comes into our field. When we're little, oftentimes we can't really have a very balanced or healthy understanding. So something as simple as dropping a jar of jam on the floor can be a huge ordeal. I mean, especially if our parents freak out and yell at us. Now in our field we have this understanding that if I make a mistake, someone is going to yell at me. And so now that just entered your field. Let's say you're 4. Now you go through your entire life, now you're 40, and you're like, somebody yells at you and you're just like, freak out. So what would happen in this situation, and what I mean by right brain, left brain polarity, recusal, is we have to look at both statements. And so the first thing we want to do is to identify where this first showed up in your field. And then we have to identify the statements that you're holding with respects to this. So in the case of the jam jar being broken, for example, first thing you're going to do is identify, how did that make me feel? But you're not going to know it's the jam jar. So let's say you don't even know that's the issue. Your boss comes in to your office and they're mad and they drop something on your desk and they're yelling at you and why wasn't this done and how could you, and you're pant, right? You freeze. You're just like freeze, and you don't even know why you freeze. And even if whether you were right or wrong in this process, you can't even process it. You can't even have a discussion with your boss because you're frozen solid, and you don't know why you're frozen. And they leave, and you're just like this. And so this would be a great time for you to say, "This just happened. How does it make me feel?" It made me feel fear. Okay, so where's the first time this showed up in my field? Okay, and so that's when we're going to start this process of identifying what I call as the primary event. And so when I say the right brain, left brain mapping, what it means is you're going to have statements in there. For example, in this situation, right, it would be, I feel terrified when people yell at me. Okay, but you also have to look at the other side of it. If I yell at people, you have to look at both aspects. There's a mirroring effect that kind of occurs, and so what we have to do is look at the emotional qualities of this, both sides of the equation, essentially. If you were to consider everything as a reflection or holographic. So you want to basically look at fear. I am, getting yelled at makes me feel scared. And yelling at other people, when I yell at others, I make them scared, or I yell at people. And you can kind of do it as if it's you and how you make other people feel. So there's kind of this two components that you want to look at. You also want to look at the positive and negative of it, right? I feel joyful when I yell at people. I feel fear when I yell at people. These are two diametrically opposed concepts. And so when you're making a statement, you want to put in the positive and the negative. I'm always getting, I always get yelled at, or, I always yell at other people. Look at both. And then I feel fear when people yell at me. I feel strong when people yell at me. So you're going to take out the I feel fear when people yell at me, and you're going to be entering or inserting I feel strong when people yell at me, or I am fearless when people yell at me. You're going to basically change the statements that are occurring. So what I'm saying is, when you are tackling any kind of thing where you're trying to set up a brand new belief system in your field, you need to look at the me and the how I'm affecting others. You also need to look at the positive statement and the negative statement. You need to do both. You need to take out the negative statement and you want to put in something more powerful. So imagine, if you will, you are setting up a whole new precedent of what you want your agreements to be in your field. So what am I agreeing to? What am I agreeing to? Am I agreeing to continue to be yelled at by people? Or am I, am I changing that now? It's like, I agree to be yelled at by everybody. Take that out. I agree to be, everyone treats me with respect. Put that in. So this is the kind of concept of, we need to address it at both sides. And we need to address it in especially in situations with other people. We want to address it, it could be, I hate cats, so cats hate me. You're going to want to take both of these things out of the equation. You're also going to put in the positive statements of, cats love me, I get along with cats. Cats respect my stuff. I respect cats. I mean, you can put this in, you're going to do it at both sides. I want you to look at it from every angle. Each statement, each issue that you're trying to address, you need to look at it at every aspect when you're creating these statements. And you're going to create a nice list of what you're going to be putting into your field and what you're going to be taking out of your field. And then what we do is we kind of batch change it. So we're going to rewrite that agreement related to these topics or this topic. And you do all that in one shot. So making the statements, that can take a little time. But really, we've done this in minutes. We've covered lots of ground, and you can do so much in an hour using this method. But you do want to be looking at it on both sides of it, and we call it polarity recusals. It's positive and negative aspects, and also how, understanding that we are also connected to other things, and so we want to look at their opinion of us as well as our own, as much as possible. Because sometimes we're the culprit, it's like I'm always being judged, but people don't realize that they're doing a lot of judging. So that's a perfect example of, people always judge me, and then you also want to test for, I always judge people, right? Because that's the way to look at it. If you were looking in a mirror, and so that's basically, we're kind of looking at all the aspects of the statement, and so that's what the right brain, left brain mapping, the polarity recusals is about, and